All right, we'll call the February 3rd Commissioners meeting to order with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes from the January 21st meeting. I was absent, but I've read the meeting minutes. Does anybody need more time to read the meeting minutes? I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Next on the agenda is approval of claims. Got this file here somewhere. This is all the same stuff you emailed.
Yeah.
Anybody want more time to read them? About anything?
We never received any payroll claims for approval. I assume there's payroll claims in there. I never received them. I can't speak for you guys. I never received them. So I haven't reviewed any payroll.
Duke, but I don't see.
I don't have it.
You know, send them. Or send them in the morning.
Yeah, them's all AP claims there.
Yeah.
I know we got one set of AP claims from Tina. Oh, but I didn't receive any. So I can speak for you guys, but I didn't receive any payroll.
I did.
You did?
I did not.
Yeah.
You may not send them, just by accident. Those are all AP. I don't even know if you can, but
I'll make a motion to approve the AP claims that presented.
I'll second the AP claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Highway Superintendent Trustee Hunt.
Crews have been rotating through the shop doing winter maintenance and repairs on their equipment. Crews have been removing fallen trees back away from the roadsides. We've been patching potholes from the recent freeze. We've finished all of our EV and distance sign changes to be up to date on bridge inspections. Truck 7 that went down during the snow has a bad BCM module. We sent it to Vita Freightliner to get the new module programmed into the truck. Truck 6 that got the used motor swap is done. We have it back at the shop now. And they're gonna start on truck 18 next. And then I also have the new trip quotes that you all requested. I'm not review them. And this quote is, I think it was $30-some hundred higher than the previous quotes we had on the first two we bought, because they missed the snow change and the fence hitches on there. So that's why this one's just a little bit different.
It's delivered at the same time, roughly.
I think he said, yeah, he said it depends on when we actually get it going, but it should be close to the same time.
Oh,
Yes, they are.
Refresh me, we're looking at two of these, is that?
Just one.
We,
We already purchased two, and this will be the
This will be the
third.
third, okay, all right.
and this will get us back on track for our original plan every 5 years. Which this will get us to 3.5 years, because we're already a year and a half behind. First, the second three.
And he had made note at the last meeting that the loaders needed and mowing equipment is needed.
Yeah.
We'll start looking at it as well.
You want quotes on them too, Kevin?
Yeah, that's what get it out of the way.
What was the time frame on this truck?
They're 6 months to a year, but that's back when we first got them, so this one should be right close to that same time frame. Depending on how many was ordered in between
Yeah.
the two we got.
So the only thing you would have to decide if, number one, if we want to do it or not, but number two, what fund we would pay for it out of. So the commissioners should have casino revenue fund. I'm guessing that balance is somewhere around 400 to 500,000. And if you don't fund it out of it, then you would have to, potentially do it out of rainy day or those funds.
Yeah, because before you bought the two, it was 972. Does that automatically take it out when we approve two trucks?
The money
Yeah.
is when we get the bills.
Okay.
That's automatically, that's the people on the bill.
So the other two were purchased out of commissioners, casino.
So how much is it, Commissioner?
It was
It's
972 at the end of the
I
year.
left my thing upstairs and everything.
But the other ones were purchased previous
You know,
Four in
to the 972,
to the 972.
before the night,
we have done.
previous to the 972, yeah.
There should be around five something left in that fund. Cause I mean, I don't know of any other large expenditures that has come out of it since then. Well, what was the
We'll have,
mini excavator and the,
we paid for that out of highway funds, but we will have, truck 6 and 18, I think, pay for out of there as far as getting fixed.
we pay for them out of that or out of the, ARPA?
I don't remember. We'll have to go back and check.
I don't think it came out of the ARPA,
Okay. I know we paid something out of it, I don't remember what.
So what's the rough?
EMS.
Truck 18 was more than 6,000 to fix it. And, truck 6 was
Like 14 or something.
18 something I total. But it actually went over a little bit, but I'll pay the rest of what it went over out of highway. Fund. Yeah, 46, 151 was what 18 was, but I do not have 6 with me. It was, Jenny, do you remember, wasn't it like 18?
Yeah, it was just over 18.
Yeah. So 18,000 something plus 40. So
Oh,
65,000.
Yeah.
65 grand.
And then I think they end up going over 2,400 or so, but I'll pay that part out of our budget.
Well, we need to get back on track on this, and so I'll make a motion to accept this.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Here's the third truck.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Can you give me a copy of that?
I'll do it there. And then the last thing I have on mine is Bridge 16. So I gave you all a packet. And, second to last page has got a cost of engineering. Of course, there is some cost in here as well for turning in the closeout documents for the community crossings. Which that is something we could possibly do on our own. We need to have some cleaning. Then the other paper I gave you some estimated costs on the bridge itself, including right-of-way permits and all that. And Bridge 16 is scheduled to be replaced in 25, so if we want to try to apply for community crossings on that, I think it's June, 1st of June, that draw has to be turned in. So if we're gonna try for that draw, then we need to get started on engineering or something so we can get it ready for that June draw.
What are the two calls for 25?
January.
Let me restate that. What would be the two projects?
This bridge,
Obviously this one and
Blacktop. And
so
I need-
Blacktop to be, because we're still 1.5 million, right?
1.5.
So Blacktop would be somewhere around 900,000.
Yes,
And he said that, like, that deal I signed last night was for the second draw.
that was for the second draw of 24.
24.
And that was also-
900,000.
Yeah, it was 9 something.
Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing that up is because typically it takes 2+ million a year in paving to maintain a 20-year cycle. And part of that money comes out of the Commissioner's Casino revenue fund that we just spent another 200,000 out of. So with community costing being 900,000, the Commissioner would have to come up with 1.1. And right now we know that fund is at like 300,000 with tonight's approval. So it's just something to keep in mind.
And Ben's, this bridge has to be replaced in 25. I think we need to get the cost of it down first, and then whatever we got remaining, we can apply for Blacktop in that same second draw. But we gotta get the bridge planned out so we know how much we got left in Blacktop.
Was this the only quote you got on the engineering?
Yes, it is. And in the past, I mean, these was the cheapest quotes we had in the past, but I can't get more if we.
The 2 years ago, you said it was like 67,000 for the engineering.
That's what, yeah, Jamie was saying.
2 years ago.
Well, Bridge 13 that they're putting in now, when we started it, that was about 2 years ago, and it was 80, I believe it was 84,000 or 85,000. And that, I think that bridge is 60 to 70 feet we're putting in now. This bridge here is gonna get expanded to 50 feet, so it's.
Why does it need to go to 50 when it's currently at 30?
Well, the problem is our creek gets blowed out each year and gets bigger and wider, and that's where we're at now. It's starting to get
Well, it's got
basically.
wing walls on both sides, so how's it
It
blowing
does,
out?
but where the creek's got bigger, upstream and downstream,
But we don't know that till you do hydraulic work, right?
well, yeah, but I can physically see it, it's bottleneck. And then that puts all that extra load pressure on your footers and wing walls because you're bottlenecking it down. So almost every bridge we replace has to go a little bit bigger to get away from that bank erosion.
How close would it put us to getting on this if we get one more quote from another engineer for 2 weeks from today?
Bobby, would you have an answer for that? What's the latest that we could pull the trigger on engineering and still get the first draw, or second draw, sorry?
Yeah, that would just depend on how quickly you got the estimate back from another firm and get anything back on engineering. So we can start on that better. 2 weeks isn't gonna delay us a whole lot.
Okay.
I mean, Like 82,000, I mean, it's worth a shot.
We don't,
83 grand.
we have to pay the 80-some thousand. It doesn't get included in the community crossings where it comes out.
Yeah.
The taxpayer pay it, right?
Yeah.
So,
That and
I-
also the,
That's, I don't know, maybe I'm like,
the right of way permits and all that stuff will be paid for the community crossing.
and you would think we'd already have right of way permits now, if we're gonna extend it to an additional 20 foot, we probably would.
Well, and some of these are right of way permits just to be able to work on them properties as we're there. Basically, they're renting.
They're temporary permits.
they're people's property.
But yes, we will have a certain amount of right of way of our own.
But it's just like Fairview Road. We said we didn't have permits and ultimately we bought land that we already owned for right of ways. But we did have the permits, we did have the easements that we purchased prior, couldn't find them in the beginning time. Went back and purchased the land again and then found out we already owned it.
On Fairview Road?
Yep.
I don't remember that one.
Absolutely.
That's a bad deal.
I don't know, I'm listening, I'm not gonna pretend to be an expert in any engineering thing, but
I think we should be competitive quoting almost everything we do. I mean, rather than just having one quote.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's
That's
not
just my
I mean,
opinion.
I don't wanna spend money that we don't spend, we are spending the money.
Yeah.
I'd like to see at least one more person
Got you.
say, hey, this is what it costs, deal with it.
And personally, we've worked with FPVH for a long time. They've been very, very good. So it's not, they're gonna do a good job or anything like that, but I think, in our best interest or taxpayers' best interest to keep people competitive and keep them competitively quoted.
I'll leave that, bill us too much, I don't. Anything else on that?
That's all I got for you. Appreciate it.
All right, old business time sheet.
I just had this added on because Jamie had questions 2 weeks ago about, one of his questions was the jailer's salary. Salary ordinance, there's 2 on there and only 1 getting paid at the 1972, sorry. And without us having to give out names, I just went down and numbered them so that you guys can kind of go with the jailers that are making the 1972. The reason there's 2 of them in that category, there's one that's fairly new, so she's paying it. Sal, she's paying them at the 20, they got approved for 2047, or, yeah, 2047, and she's paying them at the 2072, and she's paying them 1972. And the same with the 2047, there was 3 paid at the 2047, and only 2 approved. Same thing.
So there were new hires and actually
Yes.
started at a lower rate.
Yes, all of them started out as lower. I mean, you've got, let's see,
And also,
1, 2. I know that 2 of them have already been turned over, and there was a new one that started Friday, 31st, whatever day that was. So
then I also questioned
the
the cook, or excuse me,
book was approved at 1880, and that was
paid at
put in
19.
wrong. She did not get her raise on this. I don't know why, what happened, but that's why she's getting paid more, so we need to do,
So you need to include that when you revise the salary ordinance,
yes,
or council will need to include.
right. And then, he also questioned the people that got paid for the extra hours, the 8 hours on this pay period that he was questioning also, but, I think myself, Brian, and Lance have a meeting with State Board of Accounts tomorrow, and then once we figure out how the best way to get that repaid, which we're gonna think they're gonna want 1 lump sum, which is fine, and that's how they'll get paid. And the 2 days at 24 rate versus a 25 rate. I'm not gonna try to calculate something and do something until I speak to them and get it. I don't want it.
Right. Well, I would assume that your conversation then with them will be consistent with mine. We'll see.
I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't need to be paid, I'm not saying that, I just wanna know what's the best way to get it repaid. And get it
What time is that?
10.
Yeah.
Lance said that we could go over to the tech building to get that. Issue. He's got room if you wanted to just meet us in the tech building.
But I appreciate you looking into them.
The time sheets that you're looking at, Ryan, I think that's probably the first time. Yeah, those can, you can find that after.
So it was just this, if you'll take care of so.
Yeah.
Yeah, she covered everything that I brought up in the last meeting.
All right, new business, Don Canola.
Start out with park news. I toured all three parks on Monday, January 27th. Two fishermen at Markland Park, plus educational signboards have been installed in our playground area, also in VB Parks. Thanks to Dusty's crew for snow plowing Patriot and Bryant's Creek. First time I couldn't kayak in 38 years at Patriot due to ice, but I picked up a dead maple tree and some trash, so I did do that. Let's see, no new trash at Bryant's Creek for a change. That was nice. Nobody shot up our signs. That's good. Patriot News, I attended the sheriff's sale January 28th, last Tuesday, for the home on 4th Street. Only one bidder besides myself sold for the minimum $13,363.29. February 4th, tomorrow, the Patriot Town Council will discuss putting the empty post office building on the list of unsafe buildings. I won't be there because I'll be at the VB Town Council meeting. See, Tech Center Scrapyard was down to 11 inoperable vehicles, but now it's back to 12. Let's see, that's town, that's town, that's town. Okay, last February, after the commissioners meeting, I talked to Pat McGrath, last year's attorney, and he said he was close to finishing a new group of ordinances. Where does that project stand?
I'm sorry, I was,
Oh, the
wasn't paying attention.
Pat McGrath, last February, after the commissioners meeting, I talked to him out in the hallway, and he said he was close, and I think you thought he was
You're
close.
talking about a nuisance ordinance?
Yeah, new ordinances,
Yeah,
correct.
I don't know where he stands. He was gonna have a new draft for the commissioners by the end of last year. Obviously, since he's resigned now, we need to get with him and see if he completed that or didn't complete it.
Okay. So are you gonna be doing that then?
Am I gonna be doing it?
Yeah.
Well, any one of us can, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope someone does it, because they're needed. Okay, that's it.
Hey, one question on the.
Yes, sir.
The post office.
Yeah.
I read on social media today that they would potentially relocate within the area code, or how does that work?
I don't know. They just want,
If that building wasn't,
well, I think what his roof leaks and part of the floor is gone, so that's why it would be on the unsafe building code, but I don't know, federally what they're gonna do, if they're gonna relocate to another building or not. Not that many buildings in Patriot, but I don't know. But that building's not the place to be.
thank you.
Just one other thing though, John,
Sure.
so that we don't leave anybody. Just so I haven't been, I guess, unclear. So the nuisance ordinance that he was drafting was to be enforceable or enforced by a code enforcement officer. During the budget process, council did not approve the code enforcement officer position. So if he did in fact complete it, the likelihood of us being able to utilize it as written is not very likely, because we don't have that position. So we would have to go back and change it, so that it is enforceable, some other method, whether that's through, planning and zoning, building inspector, or whatever the case may be.
All right. Well, I guess I'm up to date on it then. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right, we have Bascom and Kaiser Law Office. And what this is we are beginning the process of replacing our current legal representation for the county.
Good evening, Commissioners. So speaking of the ordinances, I did call Mr. McGrath before the meeting tonight just to get an understanding of some of the things that had not been done or some of the big issues that need to be addressed as soon as possible. Obviously, the ordinance violations was one of them, and that's something that we'd be happy to turn our attention to if we proceed with an arrangement. Obviously, I'm here tonight because Mr. Bascom is upstate representing us at the legislature. How we handle other municipalities, we represent the county of Franklin Board of Commissioners. By having two attorneys, we can address issues as they come up. And obviously, when Garrett's unavailable, I'm here to kind of man the ship. So we plan to be as involved if the board wants to proceed with having us represent the county, represent the Board of Commissioners, represent as many employees or departments as the board sees fit at their leisure and discretion. But we would charge an hourly rate. Our standard hourly rate was $225 an hour. Paralegals would charge $50 an hour, and that's charged in standard tenth of an hour increments. Obviously, we would bill that monthly or as out of necessity as much as the board would want it done. We would bill for travel, and then obviously the only thing that would be excluded from that hourly rate would be any specific bond projects where bond counsel is retained, and that would be a separate rate that we negotiate at that time. I've prepared a fee agreement to mirror what we entered into with Franklin County. I'm happy to provide that to the board for their consideration. We hope we can move forward. Really excited to help address the issues as they come up and kind of look forward to a bright future together moving forward.
Do you also represent some local school boards?
We do. So we represented South Dearborn for 2 years, and now we represent the school district of Jacksonville in Ripley County.
I think you already answered it in your presentation, but I want to make sure everybody's clear. So you would represent Board of Commissioners, the county council. You'd be willing to represent zoning and planning and all that. Okay.
Yeah, and until there is a conflict or there's an issue that the board does not want us to represent another agency or department, we are happy to cast as wide as net as the board sees fit.
You have agreement?
I do have 2 copies. I apologize. I think that's all I had in my canned speech, unless there are any other questions.
No.
All right, we'll get a copy to him tomorrow.
Go from there. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it, sir. Mark Judy from Tourism.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm here to talk about a project, as I've given you all a fact sheet about that. I've been working quietly on with the town since last April. What we're looking to do is build permanent structures down at the park. In priority, a permanent stage, then a permanent pavilion. Then if we have funding, a a new portable stage that can be used throughout the community, and then miscellaneous upgrades to the park, be it Bluetooth speakers, just get the park modernized. So we can use it for more than just one big event a year. We can use it for many events throughout the year. Kind of the idea came about, I was at a tourism association conference last year, and I had seen other counties, municipalities throughout the state doing tourism projects using the bed tax. And I thought, well, what will we ever do here? We're not going to get a pro team or anything like that. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind. And then I was sitting in on the wine festival meetings last year and just seeing how much we were spending on tents and staging and all that. And I thought, man, we could just use that money and just, pay the financing for a stage or something like that. So then I went back to my office and ran the numbers on what a 3% tax would do and what we could spend. Basically a 3% hotel tax, innkeeper's tax in Switzerland County is roughly worth $200,000. It's $203,000 last year, up 3.5% from 2023. Spread that out over 30 years, you can do up to a $2.5 million project. Now, the town does not want to get that aggressive, but we at least want to see what we can do. And it may come in stages. We may do it all at once. But this is where I have to come to you now. This is the next step in the project. To get that innkeeper's tax, the county has to pass this tax, not today. But we have to go to the state legislature this quarter, get special legislation allowing the county to raise that bed tax up to 3%. So we can fund this project moving forward. Once we do that, if they pass that, which it shouldn't be a problem if everybody's on board locally, the county will have the opportunity to authorize this sometime in probably the second quarter. That will give us time, the county, the town, and tourism to work together to come up with a final plan for the park, some kind of memorandum of understanding of who's doing what, since we're dealing with county tax money going into a town park and stuff like that. The nice thing about this is, no matter what the project is, it does not come out of your general fund at all. It's a straight pass-through tax for people that stay at Belterra or anywhere else. It's basically a $3 increase for every $100 hotel room they spend at Belterra or any B&B or something like that. Doesn't come out of the town's general fund either. If we do the numbers right, I think we can build this project, build the pavilion, use this fund also as the maintenance fund, so it's self-sufficient, never has to come back to the taxpayers locally. So what I'm looking for here today is just your support. I've been asked to get letters of support from the county, the town, and Belterra. Town's on board, Belterra is on board, which was very important to me, because I don't want to fight them. But they're on board as well. So now I'm looking for you guys and the council next week to support going for legislation that we can pass this 3% tax. Doesn't mean you have to pass it. We can debate that another day. But this will give us the opportunity to set this project forward instead of just a concept at this point.
I guess, Mark, what other projects is currently the innkeeper's tax used for? I mean, here in your presentation, it would be dedicated solely to this particular project. Is it used for any other projects currently?
Throughout the state? Currently, the innkeeper's tax funds tourism. Okay. This would be an additional 3% tax, and it would be specifically earmarked for this project, not for, not giving tourism more money or anything like that.
So the current 5% all goes to tourism?
Tourism, yeah, correct. But I gave you an example in the back. Madison just raised their tax 3% January 1st. That is funding their trolley they have over there. The city is taking that over from a gentleman that used to run it. And there's several other counties throughout the state are trying to go for 3% taxes right now as well for various projects in their counties, be it convention centers, arenas, or just smaller stuff in the smaller counties.
What did you say the statewide average is right now?
Well, we're at 12% when you do the total tax in Switzerland County. That's sales tax, which is 7%, and 5% innkeeper's tax. Typically, the statewide and nationally is about 15%. If you go to Indianapolis or the big city, Cincinnati, you're pushing 20%.
Yeah.
So even up against our competition in Madison or up the river, we will not be higher than them. Madison went up 3%. We're just going to be matching them now. But as I said, I've talked to Belterra. They're supportive of this. They're fine with the tax going up because they understand this would be going towards an asset for the community. So that's what I'm looking for from you guys. I can meet with you guys individually, later on if you want to.
Does this go on Airbnbs as well?
It does.
How
Campgrounds.
many we have?
I do not know that number off the top of my head. It varies, come and go, but I would say there's at least,
Some pay through the county and some pay at the
yeah,
state level.
yeah, that's a whole different can of worms there, but, yeah, I think there's about 30 if I remember the last time I looked, and it's been a little while.
Okay, so just refresh, what do you need from us tonight?
What I'm looking for is you guys to approve just giving a letter of support to allow our just basically signaling our local legislators that you guys are in support of this, so they don't have to worry about you guys being against this. And if you are against it, I guess you can't be. But I want a letter of support so I can send it to our lobbyists that we're using through the Indiana Tourism Association. And that way he'll have yours, the councils, Belterra's, and the towns, all four together, just to show that, hey, everybody locally is supportive of this project or the concept of this project. Again, we get this passed to the state. We still have time to debate this through, work out the details. It could be a 2.5% tax for all I know, depending on what we decided what the project is. But this gives us just the ability to get to the next step. But we have to have this step to even get anywhere else.
So when you get down to it's supported, you're funded, how are you going to go forward with structures? Are you going to bid that out like you would any project?
We would probably go to the town and let them bid it out. That's some of the details we have to work out. But yeah, it would have to be the way you guys do it, or the town does it, bids it out. And do it the way our government would do it. It won't be tourism doing it.
I'm okay with it, but I think like what Jamie said, as long as you're not eating into the 5% that's funding. I think that's where you're going.
No, this is an additional.
Yeah, that's an additional. Yeah, I get that.
And it's not touching.
No, I was just curious, because I had no idea where the innkeeper's tax went. I had no idea what it was used for.
I'm just curious, how aggressive does the town want to go? They want 50% of the project?
I just happened to be, was Strand Engineering late last summer, and I just happened to walk in town hall. They did Lawrenceburg stage. So they met with me and Brandy down at the park one day, and they felt we could probably do the pavilion and a stage for $1.5 million. I know some in the town want to do it in stages, like maybe do the stage and then a pavilion, depending on, I think the concern is, we're not rising sun down the road. But I don't think that's going to be an issue with Belterra, just talking with them.
But did I hear you right? The additional 3% would be specifically for this project and ongoing maintenance of this project.
Maintenance, or if there's any extra, additional upgrades. So, 15 years from now, whatever the technology is, we're not, way behind the curve. The point of it is to offload some of the costs that we use once a year down there at the park and use this many times throughout the year as a civic destination. The other thing about the portable stages, we can use that around the county at various places as well, either 4-H if they need it, different places around town or around the county.
What's the percentage of Belterra's income? Hotel stays.
Oh, they're about 95%.
Right, okay,
Yeah,
so that's what I was getting at. So
that's why I went to Belterra and said, if they were against this, it would be tough sledding, but they're fine with this, moving forward, so.
I have no doubt that they are. My only concern
You might have the answer is everybody's concern. Take out a whatever $1 million loan, and we're basing that on additional 3% income, innkeeper tax revenue. And Belterra says, bye. Now we haven't, now we got a month. to
And
do
that's
it.
why the town's a little, like, maybe we should do this in phases and, okay, if we could pay this one off in 8
Yeah.
years and then another 8 years, just because of that situation. I also projected out pretty much flat growth over 30 years because, I was involved with the Cincinnati Convention Center 20 years ago. We had to project no growth because Cincinnati was so bad in their finances. That was the only way we could finance it. So I kind of built that into this as well.
Cause I just don't wanna be the guy that, we'll be fine, we all hope we are. And then
Well,
we're defaulting on a loan and then somebody's coming before county council or commissioners or town board and saying, hey, I gotta have $5,000 to pay this loan,
no, I think,
you know what I mean?
yeah, I think we can do this project well under the peak, but we use that extra money for, like I said, maintenance, but also reserve fund and early debt retirement.
So it would be Switzerland County Tourism actually getting the loan, correct?
There would be an entity that would have to be a county commission, if you will. It could be the Switzerland County Recreation and Tourism Commission, which is kind of our parent company, if you will, which is the county's commission. A lot of other counties set up a separate commission for this tax that take the loan out and issue the bonds and,
But
oversee
the
it.
county wouldn't be insuring the loan in any way.
I don't think so, but I mean, I don't know, I have the answers to all those questions, and like I said, we can get those answers between now and the time it really comes to make a decision.
Clearly I want, growth, and I want the wine fest to be bigger and better, or any other festival that we may be able to hold, but that question.
Well, there's questions that we still need to answer. I
I don't
totally
want to
agree.
see the county put on a loan for 2 point whatever million, or whatever we. end
Yeah,
up doing,
no, I
you know what
agree.
mean? And
I agree.
we're responsible for. That's, there's a lot of other things that we're more responsible for. That would be my biggest concern.
Yeah, and that's,
If the casino would go away and that's the reason for not paying the loan, there's not gonna be any money to pay the loan from the county either, right?
No.
So,
and that's the town's concern too. That's why, like we said, we've talked about, seeing what the project is. Maybe it's only $1 million project, maybe it's $1.25 million, but we have the ability to do this.
What's the amount that goes to the town per year?
I'm sorry,
What's the amount that goes to the town of BB and town of Patriot per year?
I'm not positive off the top of my head.
Casino, you mean?
Yeah.
They did change their percentages on them. I have it upstairs.
But we left them the same, right? We left the towns and the trustees the same. We might have increased the towns a little bit.
Okay, a little bit. Maybe not, I don't know.
Maybe I'm not gonna say because I can't remember.
I would support, I will make a motion to support.
Yeah.
Just for the exploration phase.
Yeah, basically we're doing, what I'm asking for tonight is this your support so I can go to the legislators and say the county's on board with you raising or giving you the authority to raise this at a later date. Now, we may go through this over the next few months and decide this is a bad idea. You can vote it down. This isn't tonight.
I'll second that.
So basically, we would be voting, to approve drafting a support letter.
Essentially, yeah.
For tourism.
Yes.
And I think that draft should probably be by county attorney. I don't want to draft it unless we.
No, do I. So you would need to know that part, that I think we'll have it.
I think as long as it's an official letter from the county, it doesn't matter who's officially signed it, but like I said, I'll be going to the county council next week as well, doing same thing, so.
Okay, so
So I'd make a motion to approve, drafting a support letter for VB Switzerland County Tourism for the Ogle Riverfront, parks and stage upgrade, funded via an innkeeper's tax increase from 5% to 8%.
I'll second the motion.
Dan made a motion, I second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. All right, so the next thing on there is the coroner's vehicle, which in reality, the discussion is you all had bought Durangos previously. It was earmarked for a position that didn't get funded. The coroner's vehicle is, old. It has lower miles, but it's old and tends to break down a lot. The last time it broke down, it had a, decomposing body in it, and it had to be put on a flatbed tow truck and taken from scene. That's, extremely embarrassing for the county. So the question was raised to me, is the other Durango that was purchased from the BB Police Department that's sitting idle now, to be used as a coroner vehicle. They would put the necessary racks or whatever in it out of their budget, I believe is how that went.
Okay, that's it. I mean, they're just sitting there.
I don't know what else.
One of them is that-
EMS is using the other one. They've turned that thing around. It's a really nice vehicle now. I hate to see another vehicle just sit if we can be utilized for something else right now, instead of spending money on
I
a
guess,
new vehicle.
and we can obviously take a vote on it, but certainly, I think it's better to utilize the vehicle than it's sitting there doing nothing.
Nothing.
I'm still personally of the opinion that we need that position at some point, so if it ever gets funded, or if we ever have that position, probably we would need a vehicle for that position. I'm even more so inclined to believe that we need it since the DNR is we're back on their radar as it relates to all the floodplain violations. So with that said, I mean, if you want to make a motion, then I'll be happy to take a vote for reallocating it from
That's all.
code enforcement officer to coroner.
So I'll make a motion to reallocate the purchased Durango from the code enforcement position that was funded to the coroner's office.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Dusty, just on, you said that you know, vehicles, the sheriff's department moved an old vehicle over to animal control. And you
Yes.
all are in the process of gutting that vehicle for the.
Yeah, we took the cage and stuff out of it.
Reuse it again, so it doesn't go to waste. Yep.
I have the title to that, and I know that I emailed you guys on that. Can I just take that over there and everything, or should I give it to?
I think Jerry did for the two Durangos, so I don't know that it has to be actually a commissioner, but I don't know. for
I mean,
sure.
I'll try Wednesday when they open, I guess,
Oh, yeah, it's Wednesday.
Wednesday and Friday.
Well, if you don't get to it, I'll be back in your office on Friday.
Okay.
So I don't have a problem going over to the DMV and trying to.
I think it was just some paperwork because it had to have a municipal tag or something like that.
County municipal. And I'm assuming we don't have a tag at all on the Durango.
We should.
Waiting for something to come back, you know.
They do have.
He took care of the paperwork, he meaning Jerry, so we should be getting, if we don't have it, we should be.
Well, remember it came back and you had to sign it all again.
Oh,
You
okay.
didn't sign anything.
Technically part of that transfer, which we need to look at the current van that we have and get that thing,
For the coroner.
yeah,
And
That could go up
trade
for-
from the state.
yeah, that could, but the van itself can go up for auction. Or we get something back on that.
I know we also got an email from Mr. Covington. Did he send us an email wanting to
About
get rid of the van and sell the van and get a sedan or something to that effect? The Veteran Services Officer,
Yeah,
Oh,
Dwayne.
yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he wants a car. Yeah. Okay. All right, board reports.
Endowment, the other night we had a meeting. It was basically an introduction of the new members. I was nominated for president. Endowment has roughly 1.4 million in funding. And just an overview of the different funds that they're into today. We'll have another meeting February the 25th. And it's more since there's 2 new members, just to get them more topical on what's going on, then it will resume the quarterly meetings.
I don't have any board reports.
Well, these weren't on the agenda, but we have,
Do you have any board reports, right?
I don't, I had COVID and I missed my board. What do you want to discuss my COVID?
These two applications for the board.
Yes. And we had something from that in your minutes. We can do it.
What is, yeah, we can have a motion to
So we have a couple other things that weren't on the agenda. Meeting minutes from the Board of Finance from Switzerland County. I've read them.
I have to, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved.
This one's for Serp Seed. Yeah, what's the other one for? Foreign season or something?
The other one is for East Enterprise Sewage.
Eastern.
Mhm.
Oh, I see it then.
Yeah, they've got somebody that's getting ready to come off of their board.
We have, the last thing we had, wasn't on the agenda, is a couple applications for board appointments. First one's for East Enterprise Regional Sewer District.
One position opening,
That's all there is.
one applicant.
One applicant, one position.
Christina Dixon is our applicant.
I'll make a motion to appoint Christina Dixon to the East Enterprise Regional Sewer District. 1-year appointment.
Yes.
I'll second her appointment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The other application we have, Sir PC, Sarah Brickto. I'll make a motion to appoint Sarah.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is that 1 year also?
2,
That one's 2.
I believe, yeah.
No other board reports.
One other thing, if I could, if you're okay with it. In light of the council meeting the other night, council, the highest paid clerk position in the courthouse is $24.46 an hour. Keep in mind that, I mean, I think we're all aware, they're working in a climate controlled environment, not exposed to the elements, in front of a computer in an office, behind a desk. And when I go back and look at our highway laborers, they make $21.61 an hour, working out in the elements, cold, rain, snow, have to do their own maintenance a lot of times, not all the time, but out to fix it, make their own repairs. So in my opinion, I don't know that I believe it's fair before they have to maintain a CDL, which means they have to take at a minimum every 2 years of physical, and be able to pass the CDL as well as random drug screening. So there's a number of factors that I think that justify us looking at, and that's what I'm gonna recommend, us looking at, county highway, wages and ask ourselves, do we think there's something we should do or could do, relative to the current, what I feel like is an imbalance. Again, we don't have to vote on it today. I just ask that you guys look at it. Let's, share our thoughts at, let's say, the next meeting. If we agree, that some adjustments should be made, then we would have to go to council and ask for an appropriation. Which currently the 24.46 an hour is about $2.85 an hour higher than what the county highway labor. I'm sorry,
They're 21.
21.61.
And how many,
Are you just talking about the laborers?
Well, I think we'd have to look at all the positions, not just the laborers, because, for example, a mechanic or a sub foreman rather is 22.13. That's still $2.37 an hour less than, person working in the courthouse, the highest paid clerks in the courthouse. Don't want to mislead anybody. The mechanic makes 22.64, so still almost $2 an hour more for a clerk in a courthouse than the county highway mechanic. So again, I just ask that we look at them. If we think there's something that we should do that makes sense, then we have that discussion and go forward. If not, then we don't take any action.
and remind me, how many is this affect?
There's 17 total people, I think, at the highway, right? That's all I have. Thank you.
Can you put that on the,
Yeah, got it.
talk about it 2 weeks?
And I do have one more thing I forgot to bring up. We got a quote on, putting some electrical contacts in at the highway shop. So basically our big overhead lights in the whole building, there's no switches for them. They're all run by breakers. So we always have to go over and those breakers on and off, which we shouldn't be doing on breakers. So that's a quote to put electrical contacts in by the breaker box. They'll run one overhead wire over to our main doors. So all the lights will be controlled from one switch, and we're not flipping the breakers every day.
And that's out of East Central.
Yep, it's a nice shot. And I've done replaced 3 of them breakers in the past because they're not made to be turned on and off every day like that.
You probably have enough in your maintenance and repair budget for that, right?
Yeah, I can take care of that.
I'd make a motion to approve Shake's electrical service for the, wire repairs out at the county highway garage, the amount of $1,097.
I would second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. 6 years.
So I already have.
No, I'm good.
We got. Yeah.
Oh,
Conflict of interest.
Never done one, so I'm not sure what we
This
have to do.
This is brand new. This came down from state, how they handle it. Usually they sign off on it, it goes to the clerk, she signs off on it and bring it to me and I scan it into Gateway. Well, now it's kind of, you guys have to approve it beforehand and then the person that's filing the conflict is the one that needs to, scan it into Gateway. And it tells you, you've done the conflict, you've done school board,
Yeah.
and it tells you how to do that as well. Just a different step.
Yeah, I've questioned them, have to consult an attorney, because we always use Matt.
Mhm.
So I assume once we get an attorney, we can just have that go through
I mean,
he or she.
I filled mine out, my attorney.
So what is the,
It looks like we just need to vote or
Approved.
to accept or reject his conflict of interest. And
He's currently on the board of Pleasant Township, the trustee, and he's also a The project put in a quote, that would have said on the second page, or maybe the first page at the bottom.
Yeah, let's see, the brother has put in a bid for cemetery mowing.
Right.
I mean, we have council people that do work for the county. I mean, so it's, I'm assuming they'll submit their conflict of interest as well. So I don't,
Just can't.
personally, I don't
So
see a big.
I'll make a motion to accept his conflict of interest. All in favor?
Aye.
I think there's a place for you to sign off on it.
Yes. Already signed under, what was it?
Should be,
Just the lines above it.
what's in that next paragraph right above it? Where the clerk signs.
It's, okay, so yeah, that's the reality board commissioner. Okay.
So, and then the only other thing that I have is this appropriation that Dusty and Jenny both to me about. I just, before I advertise it in the Madison paper, I just want to make sure that you guys are okay with. They have the money in their 1176 account. They're just wanting to use it to reappropriate it back into their overtime because 25,000 that they had appropriated is not much. Maybe 500 left in there, Jenny,
790.
7. So hopefully the winter's behind us, but
Yeah, typically the only overtime we have going for is for a storm or something, go out and clear a tree off the road or
God willing, this should.
gets floating out or something like that.
Sydney nears that as well.
I mean, this will be taken to the council as well next week, but before I advertise it, I wanted to make sure that you guys, since that's kind of your area.
Yeah.
That's all I needed was for you guys.
Enough hiding in here.
So you're taking it from 3,900 to budgeting 5116.
Right, 3,900 is basically their revenue.
That's your balance with that, you're all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if you need to vote on,
We can't go wrong by the.
I mean, that's,
Yeah, I guess.
that's his contract for
Sorry.
his vacation. You guys got that a couple meetings prior,
January.
yeah.
Oh, the multi-hazard.
Mhm.
Yeah. Remind, Thomas, was there, what was the cost? Is there a cost to this
It's under a reimbursement grant.
reimbursement grant? That's what it was.
We got the final invoice on that too.
I'll make a motion to accept it. Multi-hazard mitigation plan. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye. So Dusty, are you going to council and request the appropriation or do you want full commissioners to do it?
What I would need to do. I went last year for some additional appropriations. Whatever you all want done, something.
All right, anything else?
Yep, that's all I have.
Make a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Stand up. Okay.